106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Bartender knows what we want. We're a regular, everyday, 2-for-1 family, keeping each other from thinking too much. Someone's always buying if you ain't got money, 'cause everyone needs drinking buddies.
All right, everybody, welcome back. C&D's Booze Reviews, episode 22.
Yeah, baby.
Full of rhymes. And, last week we had first ever in-studio guest, Brandon Winfrey.
Yep, big shout out.
Which was fun. We were a little intoxicated.
Maybe just a tad.
Listen, we were watching football all day.
It was a good day, man.
It was a great day.
It was a Sunday.
It was a great day with the boys. But I did learn something listening to that back, watching that back. He was sitting in the middle of us, and we only have two mics. If we do that again, I need to move either one of our microphones, probably mine, to say like the middle.
The center, yeah.
I mean, he was fine.
You could pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, but and if we do that more regularly, which I can't imagine we will, because we don't have a lot of people in town that.
Yeah.
But that's when we're looking to maybe getting a third microphone.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, we will. But for anyway, we're back. We're 1 week away from the Super Bowl. We should have a. You know what? This will be the last episode that drops before the Super Bowl. Because this will drop Monday. That following Sunday will be the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So we'll probably record another one before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Okay, that's going to change up some of the questions I had for later. But anyway, this was Chase's week.
Yep.
And yeah, man, take it away.
This week I chose The Fugitive, a movie that I didn't realize Dalton has never seen before.
I can't believe I hadn't seen it.
Okay. Well, should I explain the plot of the movie?
Yeah, go ahead and explain it, and then we can.
So the overall plot is you find out this doctor. It starts out with him killing his wife, or supposedly killing his wife, and he's convicted of murder, and he is adamant that he is not the murderer, and some way or another he gets away from prison, and he's chased down by the U.S. Marshals, and then he tries to figure out who killed his wife, and it leads to a bunch of series of events, which is pretty. It's a pretty good movie, I think.
Yeah, well, so we've got The Fugitive was in the 90s.
93?
I think it was 93 or 94.
93, I believe.
I thought it was older than that. So when you texted it to me and I looked it up, I just saw the picture, and I was like, oh, wow, Harrison Ford looks pretty young. I was like, that's got to be the 80s probably.
Yeah, you would think.
But anyway, it's 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Which I found curious. You know, and my brother-in-law, who listens quite regularly to this program, he is a few behind, so he's catching up. So he listened to the one I did by myself, where I did, 80s, 90s. Anyway.
Yeah.
And he said something about like, oh, do you do any more? Are you planning on doing any more 80s movies? Well, and I texted him. I was like, well, we're going to do The Fugitive this week. And then he sent me just like a whole, I love that movie. I didn't do it. I don't care. Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for 30 years. Still remember that scene. And he goes, man, two titans in the industry. That's a great call. And then he keeps going on.
Yeah.
But he does say this. He goes, before we get into the movie, just Harrison Ford,
Yeah, obviously.
He goes, seriously, name the two actors that could take their place in Hollywood. The latest Indiana Jones was terrible, but like, who's the next Han Solo? Who's the next? So basically what he's saying is they're irreplaceable guys.
Dude.
And I didn't think about that. When it made me think about that, and I was like, dang, because I'm not real big into the Star Wars thing. But it's like, even for me, I think, not being a Star Wars guy, just growing up around it, it would be probably an injustice and weird
if they ever tried to remake it or something.
Yeah, I think.
You can't do that.
Right. People would be in an uproar, but just like it's probably, I think it's pretty uncommon in actors, especially long-term actors, that it's like they played one or two characters. It was so stinking iconic that even all these reboots they're making into TV shows and shit, like everybody's like, yeah, we're not touching that.
Yeah.
Like Indiana Jones, like he's got
Dude,
Han
he
Solo
did
and
it.
Indiana Jones.
He did it like almost simultaneously. He got done with Star Wars and then like boom, right into Indiana Jones.
That's crazy. I can't think of a lot of actors. It's like, oh, they had that one role that it's like, oh wow, yeah, nobody can ever do that again.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, dude. He is obviously. I'm a huge fan of Harrison Ford.
Yeah, and let's not sleep on Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh
either.
no! And for a fun fact, guess who won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in this movie?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones, baby.
I was surprised just because that's like one of the first things I saw that he won supporting actor.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I wonder how many other awards they got nominated for. Surprisingly, not that many.
No.
They got a Best Picture nod, and then obviously supporting actor. But like Harrison Ford wasn't nominated, which I'm not arguing because like I thought he was great in the movie, but
He's not as good as Tommy
it's
Lee.
an action movie, and that's not really like an Oscar thing
No.
necessarily.
And maybe not back then either. Like you wouldn't get a Best Picture nom for that. But Tommy Lee Jones is so good in this movie.
He's funny.
He is very funny.
He's just an outright dickhead, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, but anyway, we can get into
okay.
kind of the initial beginnings of it.
So the opening scene starts off, you kind of get like snapshots of his wife's murder. And the movie really wants you to believe that Harrison Ford's character, Dr. Kimball, is the one that actually murdered her. Because like you don't really get any context. You just see him clothes are all bloody.
Yeah, but I would argue with you a little bit, or at least my interpretation of it when I first watched this. Like I said, I watched it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
When it shows the murder scene or like the flashbacks to the murder scene, like very beginning in the movie, you do see him fighting somebody.
Yeah, and
But I was like, oh, is this in his head? You
yeah,
know?
or like this is the story he's portraying or saying as his, alibi. But so and then it kind of the cops are talking to him, but it kind of pans back to the events earlier in the night, and they go to this charity event. And by the way, what charity has
I'm glad
a
you brought that
full-blown fashion show going on?
Dude, we watch these movies, and sometimes I'm like, there's no way shit like this exists. Like all these rich people throw these charity events, but it's not even really about charity. It's like, oh, let's all wear our tuxedos.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a runway show going on.
Yeah, they had a full-blown
and it was for a children's hospital or something,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah,
Or it's like-
something for children.
but it's kind of sickening that if this, I'm sure it does in big cities, like this shit like this happens. But it's like, you guys don't even give a shit about them kids. You're just gonna go network, write a check,
Yeah, that's what happens in the movie
and
too.
talk about maybe find another couple that's a swinger and take them back to the Ritz
Yeah,
Carlton. See
it's
what
something.
happens. Yeah. I get it.
But it should be stated that from the charity event, you kind of can tell that Dr. Kimball is a huge figure in the medicine,
Very respected,
medical field,
very good at his
and-
job.
Yeah, so
You know what our charity events look like?
not like that.
Like a benefit cornhole tournament.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
But he then it transpires the events transpire, and he it shows you the audience that he's fighting this intruder, and it kind of then goes to him getting interrogated by the police, and pretty much immediately they assume that he killed her.
Yeah, they don't really have any other alternative theories. I mean,
No,
they're just pretty much like,
and to be fair, all the evidence is pointing towards the fact that he killed her.
yeah, but I'm also like looking at it too, like it was just really sloppy police work.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if you watch those scenes, they wrestle, right? So he wrestles this guy.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's not wearing gloves. This intruder.
Yeah, and we should mention he's one armed.
Yeah, he's one armed, which also made it hard because he kept saying he had a bionic arm or like a metal arm, and the police were like, "Yeah, okay," but like he was clearly touching handrails. He touched the lamp, like he touched all this stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, your prints are the only prints that are all over the crime scene."
I would have been like, dude, I live there.
yeah, well, for sure, but I mean, it was like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
like you didn't dust anything down. Like it's just like they just knew, oh, that's our guy.
Well, it does go to then it goes to the court. It shows you him in court, and they play back like a phone call his wife placed to 911.
Yep.
and she says his name, and then she says something like, he's trying to kill me or something like that. But Henry had just, or is his name Henry? Yeah, Henry Kimball? Richard. Yeah, Richard had just came into the apartment or whatever, the house, wherever they lived. And I think she knew that. So she just like...
She said his name.
But it does not look good. And anyways, he gets sentenced for first-degree murder. And that's kind of where the movie really begins. Because they're on a prison transport with like, I don't know, 4 other inmates.
Yeah. Yeah, some kind of hardcore criminals too.
Yeah, and like clearly he's not like that hardcore.
Well, he's a murderer, allegedly.
Yeah, well, by the court of law he is.
Convicted.
And I can't, one of the inmates, they all kind of like start looking at each other, like basically saying, hey, we're escaping right now. And one of the guys like fakes like a seizure or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And so the guards come in, and he had like a shiv and just guts this dude.
Shanked.
And this is the part that killed me. The other security guard who was talking the most shit just starts bucking off shots off the shotgun. And it evolves, or it like gets to the point where he's just kept bucking off shots. Well, finally the inmates like wrestling and point the gun towards the driver. And this dude just pulls the trigger and just
shoots him.
Kills the driver.
Yeah. Well, I thought about that.
It's on the...
My phone's freaking Bluetooth to the stupid computer. Dude, I wish I didn't do that. I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, how lucky did Tommy Lee Jones get that... he didn't conspire to escape, I don't think. Like, he certainly wasn't acting like it. Because, like, after they wreck, right? There's wreckage. Like, prisoners are escaping.
Oh, and we shouldn't forget... This thing rolls off the side of a cliff. None of them have seatbelts on. They're just rolling around. And I found it so hard to believe that, like, like, 2 of them lived through that. I'm like, how?
Yeah. Well, it was funny, or not funny, but what happens is then they land on, like, train tracks.
Yeah, like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but so the guy that gets stabbed, the asshole guard, is, like, yelling at him. And he's like, Kimball, you're a doctor. Come save him. Come help him, right? And he's, like, chained up. So he tosses him the keys. He unchains. He goes to save the guard's life, or tries to, and they see a train coming, and his partner just, boom, I'm gone. Yeah.
He's
so
out.
Harrison Ford gets him off, the bus, and ends up saving his life or whatever, which right then, even if you were skeptical that, okay, this is a murdering guy, like he risked his life to save.
A really good deed that he did.
Yeah, to save a prison guard. And it ended up 2 fugitives got away, Harrison Ford and then another guy. And what I thought was funny, when the U.S. Marshals showed up, they were only looking for Harrison Ford. Like, he was America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
They're like, this is the guy. And I was like, 2 guys ran.
Well, I think they say that that one guard was like, they all died. They all died.
Yeah.
And then they find his like shackle, and he's like, really? They die?
And he spun a yarn like how he saved that other guard's life.
Yeah.
But then they find him, and he ends up telling them that it was Kimball that saved his life.
But
I wish they would have showed that a little bit more.
I wanted to ask you, do you think they really derailed a train in this movie? Because it looked like it.
Well, I'm sure it was what they probably did.
Well, like a scale model or something.
Yeah, my guess, maybe they got a hold of like 2-3 cars and did it.
Because you got to think, this is like kind of not before CGI, but it's not like now where that would just be like,
Oh, no, I mean, they would have had to do it in some capacity, I'm sure. I mean, it wasn't green screen or anything like
That's
that.
what I kind of miss about movies. Like, just derail an actual train. You know how cool that makes it look?
How's that happening? I'm shutting my phone off. No, I thought it was, it was
it makes it more believable.
It was a badass scene, I thought. I was, what's funny is like, yes, there's pros and cons to like before technology and now that we've got technology. One of the things, like it's later on in the movie, but he goes to punch somebody
and it literally
and he
makes
like rears back and it totally looks fake. And it's like, oh, that's something I would expect to see in like a spaghetti western or something.
Yeah,
that's, ouch.
But it's like, get a stunt double, dude.
Well, and Harrison, the way he reared back too, I'm like, I like how he's secretly kind of just a badass. Like he's a surgeon.
Yeah, and he just whoops everyone's ass in this movie.
Yeah. And he's really good at escaping.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So he, we should say, so Tommy Lee, I wrote down, the train derails, he shows up on the scene, and immediately he's just a badass, and he shuts like the local sheriff's like, well, that's all there is to the case. Cutting,
They're all dead.
They're all dead. It's all good to go. And he's like, he's like, I'm taking over custody of this case. And his typical like, I don't know. He has to be from the South, right? He has a little drawl or something.
Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean,
But he has so many funny one-liners in this movie.
yeah, but he's just kind of like he's one of those stereotypical like lawmen in movies. It's like, I turned my phone off. I don't understand.
I have no idea.
How like he's always right. Doesn't really care about anybody else. Like,
Yeah.
He's just bottom line, I'm getting my freaking guy. And if that's crashing helicopters, crashing cars, using all kinds of resources to do it,
He doesn't care.
shooting people, he don't give a damn.
So Kimball, though, he ends up running away from the accident, and you catch up to him, and he steals clothes from a gas station, dude.
Well, it was a tow truck driver. He traded in one jumpsuit for another one, basically.
Yeah, and I love that he just immediately goes to a hospital because I think he got a cut or
He
something.
did. He got
on him.
injured. Yeah, so he went to the hospital.
But I wrote down, I love that where they keep all their meds. It's just you can just walk in. There's no no keys or anything.
It was the 90s, man.
Yeah,
And
they
it looked
didn't
like
care.
a smaller hospital, but that's when you see the guard that he saved wheeled in, and they kind of make eye contact, and then they're like, "Wait, he was at the hospital?"
Well, he gets a change of clothes. He kind of gets himself,
he dresses like a doctor.
And as being as a doctor, he sews himself up, and he's pretty much good to go after this. And that guy comes in an ambulance, and they're like, "Doc, what are you doing out here?" And he's like, "Check for a lower abdominal stab." And he's like, "How'd they see that?" And the guy's like, "Ambo." And he just takes that gas mask and just puts it on.
Oxygen mask just shuts him up.
But he ends up stealing an ambulance.
Yeah, very discreet.
And just flicks he's like driving, and then I don't know. Okay, this is one thing that bugged me in this movie. Tommy Lee Jones just instantly gets information. There, he's like, "We just got a report that an ambulance was stolen," and he's like, "That's our guy."
Well, I think. Listen, I don't know a lot about the Marshal Service, but I did watch all 7 seasons of Justified, and it certainly seems like what their kind of specialty is fugitives. Like,
I mean,
that's like what they do.
yeah, I think that's kind of what
And-
they're.
Yeah, that and money, I think. I don't
Maybe-
because like they handle witness protection. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do all that stuff. But like it was funny when he was a hometown sheriff guy.
Mm-hmm.
When he shut him down, he's like, "Under whose authority?" And he goes, "I don't know, the state of Kentucky,
Or-
the U.S. Marshal
No,
Service,
Indiana, because
or Indiana, yeah,
yeah.
the United States Marshal Service." He's like, "I'm a Fed, dude."
So they realize that he stole an ambulance. So they have just a helicopter on standby. Tommy Lee Jones is like, "Let's roll."
Yeah.
They get this helicopter up and immediately start chasing him. Well, Kimball also can just drive like a professional driver.
Yeah, there's
apparently
not a whole lot of backstory to this guy outside of the fact that he's just like
a badass surgeon.
very highly intelligent, like super.
Oh yeah,
smart.
super smart. And he ends up they end up chasing him for a while, and he ends up going into this like tunnel that just so happens to have a dam right by it.
Well, the storm drain led to the dam.
So they block off the tunnel, and he's trapped basically. Well, this guy pretty early on shows you how smart he is. He thinks quickly on the fly and is like, "Oh shit," and just like takes the storm grating up and goes into the tunnels. And the marshals can't find him at first, and then Tommy Lee Jones just
he's
showing
good.
how smart he is. He's like, "Here's water or something." And he's like, "Check the storm drain." And they just go down there and start chasing after him. And Kimball does this really smart move too. He takes his jacket off and like throws it in because there's a T or something, like a verging, 2 paths you can go down. So he takes his jacket off and throws it down the one and then goes through the other. And Tommy Lee Jones is just like, "You two go that way. I'm going this way." And it ends with them like falling into this other tunnel, and it's like it's pretty much a dead end, except it's the dam. They're at the base of the dam.
But before that happens, he like bomb rushes Tommy Lee Jones or something because he gets a hold of his gun and he's pointing his gun at him at first.
And the most iconic line in this movie, he's like, "I didn't kill my wife." And he's like, Tommy Lee Jones just goes, "I don't care."
Yeah. And then he doesn't shoot him. He just like runs away.
Yeah.
And then that's when Tommy Lee like has him at gunpoint, and it just goes off this dam, which is gotta be like 300 foot tall.
Dude, I love it's so tall.
That's what I said. I said, okay, well, so as a last resort effort,
He's desperate.
he jumps off the dam
Yeah.
into the river.
And he doesn't do it like a pencil
No, he
dive.
dives.
Like,
He doesn't even
head
jump.
first.
Yeah, he freaking dolphin dives off this thing. And that's what I said. I said, find it a little hard to believe he survived the jump off the dam.
Yeah.
And everybody else too was like, well, he's dead, and Tommy Lee.
Dude,
nah.
the funniest line in this movie, though, Tommy Lee goes, he jumped off like Peter Pan.
Yeah, like a lost boy. I do want to point out too that, like, it's fun to watch in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Escaping from prison never works. Never.
No.
No, and especially like
I mean, not usually, but
no. The guys that do escape, like we hear about it on the news every now and then. It's like, oh, this is exciting, and then he's caught in like an hour, maybe a day, maximum 2. But he's usually got some inside help or whatever.
yeah.
This was, and there's a plan, like where he's gonna go hide, where he's gonna do this.
Yeah, this guy's just doing this on the fly.
Completely on the fly, and it's like, no,
I don't care how smart you are. That ain't happening.
you're not escaping prison because you gotta have shit set up where you're like,
No, like,
because here's the deal. By the way, when you do escape prison, let's say you do get away with it, then what? It's not like you can go get a job. You can't go
I
get.
guess go to like a different country. I have no idea.
How do you get there?
I don't know.
You ain't got no money. You ain't got no nothing.
I feel like Canada you can cross into pretty easily.
Well, don't get me on this border
Okay.
thing.
Besides the fact, but besides the
I'll
point.
be up here talking all day.
But fun fact about that line, I don't care. So Tommy Lee actually improvised that line.
Yeah, ad-libbed it.
It was not in the script. And then I think they just thought they're like, oh my God, that's such a badass line to say that like it's a running theme throughout the movie
Well,
that
and
he
even
just doesn't care.
reporters and stuff were asking, like when shit was starting to develop and kind of come to light, they're like, "Do you think he's innocent?" And he said, "I don't care. Like that's not my job. My job is to get
to
the
catch him.
fugitive.
Yeah.
Whether he's innocent, guilty, I don't care."
Yeah. And so, okay, spoiler alert, he lives from this amazing Olympic dive. and he's like floating down this river for, I don't know, it seems like a couple hours.
Completely uninjured somehow too.
Yeah, no injuries, not a broken limb. Apparently, it's really deep there, and he somehow gets himself back on shore and like just covers himself in leaves, and somehow doesn't get hypothermia. I guess.
I'm not sure. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy shit that happens in this. Like, it's a really excellent movie, but I don't. How do you? It's an action. It's a thriller. It's a mystery. What is it?
It's all three.
Yeah.
It's literally all three.
But you know what? Like those movies that I referred to earlier, that like we love Indiana Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a lot of substance to Indiana Jones? Not really. Like it's just a fun movie.
I mean,
it's
they're
like
awesome though.
yeah, they're awesome. It's like The Mummy or like what's the one with Nicolas Cage?
National Treasure.
Yeah, movies like that. They're just exciting and fun to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did. This really kind of highlighted. It's like, oh shit, Harrison Ford's got some serious acting chops.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is maybe he has done a lot more dramatic work.
I'm sure he has,
but like I just never seen it.
No, he's been around for a long time. He's in this show that I like now that I think he carries the show personally called
Dude, he's a
Shrinking.
great actor, man. He really is.
Yeah, he's awesome. But that's why I was enjoying it because and Tommy Lee Jones is the same way too. Like you see him in Men in Black, and it's like, all right, he's like kind of the best part of the movie, really, because he's just being Tommy Lee Jones, just with aliens.
Yeah.
Or what's that movie he made? Remember where he had to? He was a U.S. Marshal in that one. I'm pretty sure he was like had to protect like all these cheerleaders.
Oh, U.S. Marshal is the literal name of the movie.
No, I think it's like Man of the House or something like that.
No, it's pretty sure it's U.S. Marshal.
I'm pretty sure it's like Man of the House.
Okay, well, agree to disagree. I know what movie you're talking about.
And it was a comedy.
Yeah.
But he's so funny in that one. Like, it's hard to, and then you see him in this and you're like, oh shit, this guy can seriously act,
Well, No Country for Old Men, he's just
I
fantastic.
forgot about him in No Country for Old Men.
That movie's going to get put on here at some point.
Yeah. Isn't that Kevin Bacon?
No. Javier Band or
Yeah, but Kevin Bacon's in it too.
Yeah, I think Kevin Bacon might be. in
Yeah,
it.
you know what? You want to talk about a guy that just lucked into that somehow? Because he's not great.
No,
Kevin
he's-
Bacon's not great.
No, he's not good.
Like Footloose, it's like one of those ones that's like, you gotta watch it at some point.
Yeah, but he's not like
No.
no. But anyways, so Kimball somehow survives hypothermia, and he kind of has these flashbacks, like almost like he's on death's door, and you see the full fight of what actually happened, and it's man, they're fighting their asses off, like really, like gritty kind of.
Yeah, but here's what I don't understand.
This guy has one arm, by the way.
Throughout the movie, okay, Harrison Ford just easily kind of beats everybody up he comes across. But you're telling me that when you arrive after and see the man that killed your wife, you getting your ass kicked, kind of, and he's got one extremity?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Maybe, I guess you could argue that he was in such shock, like arriving.
Maybe, yeah.
But
he, so he ends up dyeing his hair because he realizes, like,
you have to.
they, like, all know. But he picks a shitty haircut. All he does is turn it to black.
If you're on the run, shave off the facial hair, which he did.
Which he does.
You got to dye the hair, even maybe cut it. You got to do
something to make yourself look different.
And throughout the movie, too, like, he does a little bit to kind of, like, hide his identity. Of course, I guess it was a different time. Like, there wasn't cameras just all over the damn place.
Yeah, there's not
but
cell
he's
phones.
Walking around pretty freely throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it. Early 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't do that now. Everybody's got a Ring doorbell camera. Every corner's got a camera.
Yeah.
There's satellites. You just can't do that shit.
So then the movie, he kind of pans to this house, and you lead to believe that maybe it's Harrison Ford they're going to go get his character, Kimball.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird thing.
But it's the the other escapee.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee, like, they dress up in, like, undercover and like all this
just
stuff,
like really poor
and
ass
like
people.
start storming on this house, and Tommy Lee Jones just boom kicks the door in, and the guy, like, they start clearing the house or whatever, and this rookie or whatever,
Yeah, maybe just a younger guy on the
gets
force.
like kind of surprised, and the guy gets the upper hand and is holding him hostage, and you just see Tommy Lee's like all cool and shit sneaking through, and then the guy's like, I'll do it. I'll kill him. We can bargain here. And he just like pops through this door and just boom, 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 kills him. And the guy's like, you didn't have to kill him. Like, you could have bargained. He goes, can you hear? Because the guy's like,
yeah, he
can't
said
hear.
I can't hear out of my ear.
And he's like, can you hear this? I don't bargain.
Yeah, I don't think that scene was necessary. Really.
I like it though.
No, it was a fun scene, but it's like, you got no information on how they found this guy. You were led to believe they weren't even.
It's a quick line. They said it quickly. They said someone spotted his car or something.
His girlfriend's car or whatever. But you're up until that point, they're focusing full efforts on finding Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were going to show that scene, at least be like, hey, we're on the lookout for these two.
Yeah.
You know, or something. But it added really the only substance to the whole movie that it added.
Just how big of a badass he is.
That Tommy Lee Jones is.
Yeah.
Or badass, or just a selfish prick that doesn't care. It's just like getting this guy. Because immediately after that happens, he gets a call from the brass and he's like, what'd you want me to do? Not shoot him? Like, he's dead. You know, take it up with him. Blah, blah, blah. Boom. And like hangs up the phone. Like, he doesn't care.
I love him in this movie, dude. he's so funny. But so you find out that Kimball has made it back to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he places a call to his lawyer. And he was like...
not at first. I think he meets up with his old pal.
Yeah, his old pal. He's like dressing up kind of homeless. And,
yeah, he finds him outside, like leaving his tennis club or whatever. And he's like, hey, I need some money. And he makes sure to not give him any information because he doesn't trust him, but because he's like, he even tells him, he's like, listen, if you're not hot right now, the heat is coming, meaning the police are going to come question you. So he's like giving him literally no information. That way he's not implicating him in a crime at this point. Like,
which is, yet again, very smart move.
Yeah. Then he calls his lawyer.
Yeah, and they apparently
They
tapped
did
his
say
phone.
they were like, call everybody, get phone taps, get this, get that. Yeah.
And the part that kills me though is they're listening back to this audio recording. The marshals are, and I call BS on this scene. He's like, "What was that?" You hear that?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like,
you could tell what train he was at.
they're like, that's the L train. And then he's like, no, what was that right before then? And like some station being announced, or like, stop or whatever being announced. And I was like, bullshit.
Yeah.
You're not catching, you have no headphones on.
He's like, oh.
Play that back.
he's in Chicago.
Yeah, I was like, get out of here, dude.
That's like some Batman shit.
That's what I thought. I literally wrote that down. I was like, is this dude Batman? Like, get the fuck out of here.
And then after he calls the lawyer's like, yeah, go turn yourself in, all this stuff. And he goes, all right, click. And then goes to a photo booth. So somehow he knows how to make.
No, that's later. That's later.
Okay.
So he takes that money, gets an apartment.
Yeah.
And he you can see him starting to do his own investigation.
Yeah.
Because obviously he knows that he didn't murder his wife.
Yeah.
But he's determined to get revenge and figure out who killed his wife.
I was curious too. I was like, is the motive to clear his name, right? Because he's such a well-respected surgeon, had all this stuff, right? So is the motivation to clear his name? Is the motivation to punish who
I think there's multiple.
Did it? Yeah, that's kind of the conclusion I came to because I was like, well, there's three motivations here: clear your name, find who is actually responsible,
Yeah.
or just he was on death row, so I mean, not die, I guess, to survive.
Well,
But I'm just saying, like,
get his freedom back too.
Yeah, but he could have easily just folded and said, my wife's dead. Like he says early on in the movie, they took everything from me. Like, like he kind of acted like he just gave up, didn't want to live. So I'm saying, like, it would have been very easy to just be like, well, screw it. Because even if you got to think, like, even if you go through all this, you clear your name, you find out who did it, you're always going to be tied to this event that happened. You know, like nothing's ever going to be normal again.
Yeah,
like you're never going to be.
You're never going to be this.
But I think you're right, though. I think most of the motivation was probably because you got to think. I guess if he truly cared about, I don't know.
I think he wanted justice.
Yeah, probably.
The actual person that actually killed his wife. He wants justice.
Yeah, and then we'll get to that. But it's like, I have mixed emotions about how everything ended up.
Yeah, but so he goes to this hospital because the prosthetic is a huge part of this movie.
Yeah. Well, before he does that, though.
Yeah, he gets an apartment. And
it makes a fake ID.
No, he gets the ID from the hospital, remember? At the prosthetic from a janitor.
Well, that ID, but because he took photos, remember? And then when later on in the movie, when Tommy Lee
he makes a counterfeit off that ID, though.
Yeah. But when are you talking about when he became a janitor?
Yeah, that's how he got access to the hospital.
I understand what you're saying. Okay. All right, keep
But
going.
yeah, so he goes to this hospital where I guess they specialize in prosthetics, and he steals a janitor's ID. Well, you see him counterfeiting. He takes the pictures. He puts his name and his photos over it, and I can't remember exactly, but
I also like how he just knows how to make a fake ID.
He's just a badass, dude.
Yeah, but okay, listen. I've had a lot of surgeries.
It's not that kind of movie.
I'm just saying, I feel like I know some good surgeons. Like, I bet if I asked Dr. Doe, like if I went into his office to get my knees worked on, and I said, hey, man, you know how to make a fake ID? He'd probably be like, no.
This is the 90s. We got to remember this, man.
Well, everybody in the 90s just knew how to make fake IDs?
I guess. I don't know. It couldn't have been that complicated.
I don't know. He didn't even have a laminate machine.
He's very smart, Dalton.
I know.
And
he's Batman.
He's also basically Batman. But so he makes a counterfeit ID, and he returns to the hospital you find out he portrays himself to be a janitor so that he can get into the hospital's database and basically narrow down who his suspects could be.
Yeah, because he remembers the exact kind of
composition of the arm.
Yeah. Because you see him with a book, like researching. Because you got to, at that time, there was probably, there's probably quite a few, but it's probably not that many designs. They probably aren't that far along on prosthetics.
No.
So he remembered it because when he's fighting this guy earlier in the movie, he completely rips his arm off, basically.
Yeah, and he gets a really good look at it.
Yeah, he gets a good look at it. So then he figures out, okay, this is the type of prosthetic this guy has.
And he also kind of guesses his age.
Yeah, because he got a good look at it.
Yeah, so.
But then you're right. Then he gets into the database and he kind of can search and narrow down the search. How many people have this type of prosthetic?
And I believe he
ended up narrowing it down to 8 people somehow.
I thought it was 5, maybe, but it's a very low number.
Very low number.
And So he prints that off and gets out of the hospital.
Well, before he gets out of the hospital, though,
Oh yeah, the apartment.
a school bus crashed.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids are coming in, and he's doing his best to just mind his own damn business.
Try to get out of there.
and be a janitor, but he sees this kid on a gurney, and you can kind of tell. So the attending doctor, like, looks the kid over and writes on the chart something, and he notices that that's not the right call, and she ends up calling him over because it's all hands on deck, and he's like, "I need you to take this, stretcher, this kid
there's
somewhere."
tons of
and he
kids.
looks at the chart, looks the kid over, ends up changing it, taking the kid to a different department because he recognized, being a surgeon, oh, this kid needs emergency surgery like right now. And so, even though knowing that he's running out of time, because Tommy Lee Jones is a half step behind him the whole time.
The whole time.
And so he knows they're coming. So again, goes out of his way, risks his own freedom, risks this entire operation of, because
He's just a good dude.
Exactly. He can't help it. And he probably also has a mindset too that, he signed an oath to.
He's a doctor.
Right.
I mean.
So he ends up taking the kid to this other surgery, and he goes, "Hey, this is the chart the doctor gave me." And the doctor that made the mistake recognizes what happened, and then you can kind of tell she recognizes him a little bit, goes to call security, and he's like, "Oh, see you later." And then he dips again, another close call.
Yeah.
Where he's running, and he gets out of it again.
But they end up, I think, arresting the son of the person he's leasing the apartment from, and they find out
completely by coincidence.
by coincidence.
Yeah.
And then you find out that he basically ratted on him. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's Kimball."
Yeah.
And so they raid his apartment. Tommy Lee Jones figures out what he's doing, counterfeiting ID. He's like something about like an orange or something.
Well, yeah, he's like, we're eating oranges and making fake IDs,
yeah.
is what he says.
Yeah, and so he goes to the hospital literally like maybe an hour after all this
Yeah.
went down. And you know who that actress is, right? That's Julianne Moore.
Yeah, but another doctor that they talked to at a hospital was Jane Lynch.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that cool? That's awesome cameos. Anyway,
I wonder if there were cameos at that point in their careers, though.
Julianne Moore for sure. I
Yeah,
think.
probably. Yeah.
But maybe not Jane Lynch. But anyways,
And I should say this. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So the doctor friends that the cops go talk to,
Oh yeah, I forgot about
all of them are like, "We think he's innocent, and if he calls me for help,
that.
I'm helping him."
They don't rat.
No, none of them.
And so he asked him, he's like, "What did he do?" And she's like, he saved his life. He saved his kid's life.
Yeah, they tell him. And then you got to think like Tommy Lee. He's such a good actor. He kind of like makes a look, but it's very subtle. Like you can tell he's putting it together that, oh shit, this guy probably didn't actually kill
He's
his
like,
wife.
well, you can see the gears turning.
But he's also like,
I still got to catch him.
it's not my job to solve this murder. It's my job to catch this fugitive.
But I believe he goes back to his office and he goes, "Give me the case file on Kimball."
He does, and they end up going to his house. They look over the crime scene, and then you can see just the shoddy police work that was done. And I think even at one point they're at the crime scene, and one of the deputies asked him like, "Man, do you think he's innocent?" And he goes, "Not my job." Like again, he just says he's like, "That's not."
I don't care.
I'm not. But he does a little bit probably.
Yeah, and so Richard though has this list now, and he really is starting to break it down. And I think he's down to like 2 suspects, and he just notices that cops are. Well, Tommy Lee figures out what he's doing. Like he's tracking down a suspect.
Well, and that's another thing. Like everything that Richard's doing, Tommy Lee ends up doing probably because he finds out that Richard's doing it.
Yeah.
But he's just like I said, just a half a step
just
behind.
a little bit up.
Like he's making all these phone calls to these amputees, like or their connections, their jobs, whatever. And he's like, "Hey, class reunion's coming up, or this or that." And then they're like, "Oh, that guy's dead, or that guy's this." So then he narrows it down to like, 2 people, and then he goes to the prison because one of the guys that is amputated is armed robbery, which I thought was a pretty savage joke.
No, wait. Before that, though, he goes to the jail.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you were talking. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my bad.
And he signs up to visit this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he knew it was like a 50-50 shot.
Do you want to know what I wrote down?
About the armed robbery joke? It's pretty good.
No, I put down, of course, a damn pixie dye turns the whole damn river green.
You talking about freaking St. Patrick's Day, dude?
Them damn pixie days turn the whole damn river green. Yeah, we should say St. Patrick's Day's going on too, because it's kind of a part of the movie.
Yeah, and they turned the river green. I thought that was
interesting.
I didn't realize Chicago. I guess all those big cities, especially like police and fire, they celebrate it pretty tough. But anyways, he goes to the prison and has this fake ID and all this stuff, gets in to visit this guy, and he sits down and he's waiting on him, and the guy comes in and it's not the guy, because he's
immediately
he knows,
he's seen him first,
and he gets up and he's like, it's my mistake. And that prisoner's like, dude, they ain't got no cable in here, man, like, you got me down here, let's just talk. And he goes, believe me, I wish I could. But he knows that Tommy Lee Jones is coming. He knows.
No, this guy's been on his ass the entire time,
and he just barely gets away. And yes, it should be noted that the reason he does get away is because there's a massive parade going on for St. Patrick's Day.
We should say they both take the staircase, and they kind of like
he sees him
opposite sides.
He's just half a step behind him.
And Tommy Lee Jones is about to go up the stairs, and he just like stops for a second and turns around. And goes back towards where Richard was going down, and I think he looks over the staircase and he goes, "Richard." And the guy, Richard, not being like a con or, like a actual convict, doesn't know not to like look up.
Yeah, he's like, what's up?
He looks up and he goes, hold, stop. And so this big chase goes down.
Well, but before he does that, remember what he says? I told you I didn't kill my wife. He starts running again.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he escapes through a parade.
Yep.
An Irish, St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yeah, big celebration, man.
He runs literally into the parade and like puts a hat on and everything.
He just becomes a leprechaun.
And he ends up blending into the crowd and gets away. So then he's basically down to his last suspect. And I think he finds his house, but he notices that like cops are all around it. So he's like, oh shit, like they're watching. So he gets on the roof or something and like breaks the window out. And I was like, oh, that's kind of ballsy. Like,
yeah, it was an apartment complex. And yeah, he notices that the marshals are sitting on the house because Tommy Lee Jones figured out what the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
And stationed people. And yes, he breaks in to this apartment. I think I could be wrong, but I think he watched the guy leave, maybe.
I don't think so.
He just said, screw it. I'm going in. Yeah. All right. That might
And so he sees this guy's picture, and he's a former police officer. And
decorated.
It's his wife's killer. He knows it's his wife's killer.
Yeah, he sees him.
So he starts digging for information
through his desk.
And I think he ends up finding some kind of files or something.
Well, yeah, at first he finds files with it's a callback, the fundraiser that he went to at the beginning of the movie. This guy is employed through that company, and it's a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, now he's starting to uncover the conspiracy a little bit.
And I think there's a flashback maybe.
Yeah, that's when they do actually a really good job in this movie, because at that point you kind of forget, because all it shows is the logo and you're like, you're not going to remember that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of flashes back to what you've already saw, but like him walk in and then who these certain individuals he's talking to and what the event's for and all this stuff. And it was this guy's pay stubs that were from this company. Yeah. And he's like, okay. And then that's when he finds like a bunch of printed out photos, like much like in the envelope, like how you used to do it when we were kids. You take your film to get developed, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then in those photos, he sees people that were at that party, and he's starting to put it together. And he's like, oh, this pharmaceutical company that was doing this fundraiser, they had come out with a new medicine that was supposed to be this miracle shit, whatever, but ended up having a side effect of liver failure.
Yeah.
And he knew that.
And he wrote reports to say like, this.
Yeah. And that what it flashes back is to one of the doctors that were there at that, that event. He had reached out to multiple times. And so it flashes back, and he's like, yeah, I keep trying to get in touch with you. You never call me back and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, we'll have to get together, because he's trying to tell him, hey, this medicine is not good. Like this testing phase is not good. It's killing people.
Yeah. And, this is one of the most brilliant things, I think, in this movie. Instead of like taking the evidence for himself, he calls up the U.S. Marshals, their office, and Tommy Lee's there, and they're like, "Hey, we got another Richard Kimball."
Yeah.
And so he takes it and he goes, I didn't kill my wife. And instantly.
Well, he goes, you remember what I told you or what I said to you when we were in the drain tunnel? Mm-hmm. And he goes, no, I don't remember. And he goes, I told you I didn't kill my wife. And he goes, oh, yeah, I remember. And he goes, you remember what you said to me?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And he goes, you said you didn't care. And then he said something and he goes, where are you? I'm not putting together a puzzle. And he goes, well, I am. And I just uncovered a big piece of it. And he knows too. It's like he knows that they're tracking the call. So he doesn't hang the phone up. He just leaves it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so Tommy Lee's character ends up showing up to the house.
Yeah.
And just so happens that the murderer comes to the house.
Yeah.
And Tommy Lee basically starts interrogating him at the place. Mm-hmm. And I think he's like, all right, well, you have a good day.
Yeah, because he knows he's going to hang himself. He knows he's going to panic. He knows he's going to. I will say when the murderer, the actual murderer, when he walks up, he sees all the agents. He goes, "What is this? A trench coat convention? Like, what's going on here?" Like, he used to be a cop. He knows how these things work.
He knows what's going on.
And he showed him all the photos. And meanwhile, these photos, we should say too that Kimball uncovered was a guy who killed his wife. Mm-hmm. Okay, with photos with him going on fishing trips with the doctor he tried to get a hold of.
Companies.
So now he's starting to realize, oh, this is a massive conspiracy that's going on. And then he's thinking, well, they were trying to kill me. That's what they were.
Yeah, that's what they came to do.
They were coming to kill me.
Yeah.
And he basically just hands all that evidence over. And Tommy Lee Jones, says, hey, but that's when you can really tell he's like, oh, I know now. He
walks out and he goes, that guy's a dirty cop.
Yeah.
And
keep your eyes on him. They leave a car on his house again. Yeah.
Yep. And I think Richard goes to what's her name?
Goes to Jane Lynch.
Yeah. And he finds up the old samples or something.
Well, but before he does that, he calls his best friend that he took money from earlier. And he goes, hey, I need you to call this guy that runs the records at the hospital. Tell him to give me whatever I need. That's all I can tell you, all this stuff. And he goes, anything you need, dude, I'll do it. So he does. So when he goes to the hospital, this gentleman that's working the records is talking to him, and he knows that he's a fugitive, but they're all on his side.
Yeah, they all think he's innocent.
He gives him all these files of the old reports that he had filed and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And samples of the liver. Yeah. The liver samples. And he gives them to him. And then
he takes them.
As soon as Harrison Ford leaves, it's like the cops show up.
Yeah.
Because they're always just right behind him. And then, yes, he goes and visits Jane Lynch because you're assumed to believe
the murderer was also there watching them. Remember?
He was watching the cops. Yeah. Yes. So, but you're kind of assumed to believe that Jane Lynch's specialty in the medical field is this lab testing and this
kind of like
that.
Cellular level.
Yeah. So when he sees her, they start to put it together that, not only did they disregard these files, they faked them.
They falsified them.
They falsified them, and all these samples that were sent with the, hey, here's a side effect of this medicine.
This is the damaged liver and everything.
What she uncovered is there's they took a healthy liver and duplicated that sample, and that's what they presented to the FDA and all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he finds out that the guy that the doctor that he thought staged all this, died in a car wreck or something.
Correct.
And
the doctor that he had met, that he said, you keep blowing me off, all this stuff. Jane Lynch is the one that tells him, because he's like, this is my guy. This is the guy that set all this up. Yep. And she goes, well, it could have been him. He's been dead for months.
Yeah.
Because he's been in jail for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long. A few months. And she's like, yeah, he's been dead for months. And even Tommy Lee Jones, because we continue to say, he's just right behind him. He even puts it together and goes, oh, that doctor's involved. And they go, oh, he can't be. He's dead.
Yeah, you find out his best friend was the one that signed off on them being okay.
Yeah.
And then immediately Richard pieces it all together and he goes, holy shit, this guy is the guy.
Yeah, because Jane Lynch goes, well, where are you going? He goes, see an old friend. And as soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, it's that guy. And I had a suspicion that it was him, just because in the movies like this, I always try, how can we get the biggest,
shock value.
Right. And so you go into it and you're kind of the first time I saw him, I was like, God,
he's kind of fishy.
I bet that guy. But what I didn't understand is maybe he just kept thinking that the cops were going to catch up to him.
That's what I thought.
Because he kept giving him everything he asked for.
I think he thought eventually the marshals would catch up to him.
He gave him access to those samples that incriminates him.
Yeah.
And that's how I was like, that was a stupid move, man. But maybe, like I said, yeah, maybe he thought that.
Well, and I don't know if he actually, I don't know. I guess he just thought Richard wasn't piecing it all together.
Oh, he would have had to, because early on in the movie, when they're interrogating him, he says, like, he's smart. And they go, yeah, well, you're smart. And he goes, no, he's way smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows that he's capable of doing this.
Yeah, I assume that he's just like a certified genius.
And he also didn't give the marshals anything.
Yeah.
Like, after he talked to him, he wouldn't tell him any information. And I was like, what a dumb move, man. If you're setting all this up, like, if you're a part of this.
You think he'd be working it. But anyways, so Richard decides to take a train, which the murderer's on. And I think he gets spotted by a newspaper or
Yeah,
something.
he's sitting on the train. It's like him and another guy, and the guy's reading a newspaper, and Richard sees the cover of the paper.
and
It's his
he's like,
picture.
Dude, I thought Harrison Ford's acting was brilliant in that. He's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. And then the guy turns the paper over, and he looks at him. He's like, And then he goes and tells, because there's a cop on the train. And then, but the murderer shows up
Yeah.
and shoots the cop.
Shoots a cop. Kills him.
Yeah.
And Richard, yet again, is just a badass. Beats the fuck out
Oh,
of this
yeah.
guy.
This time he beats his ass, but he didn't the first time.
And he does something really smart, too. He takes the cuffs and cuffs him to the train so that he can't leave
Yeah,
the
he
scene.
can't get off. And what I thought was funny after that is, like, the cops show up, get this guy, right? You know, and the press finds out, and they're like, hey, we're starting to think this guy's innocent.
Well, the Chicago PD thinks he's a cop killer, too.
Well,
though.
yeah, but they're also just,
They're gung-ho on him.
they don't
on
want
him.
him. They don't want to be wrong either.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, hey, the witnesses are saying that this other guy killed the cop, and they're like, no, it's conflicting reports. It was Richard. He's a cop killer, and we're gonna kill him, basically.
So the climax of the movie, though, Richard goes. They're having another
convention. It's a convention. Yeah.
and Richard walks straight in there and just confronts him and goes, "He was falsifying records.
Yeah.
he killed my wife and he killed the other doctor, and like in front of everyone." And the guy just kind of walks out of the room, and Richard follows him, and then immediately takes a stone cold like chair to the back.
Yep.
And this epic fight breaks out.
Epic fight on a roof. They fall through the roof. They're on an elevator shaft.
This is the part that got me. Why the hell was there a skyline right above an elevator shaft?
Oh, the skylight?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I'm not an architect.
And
but
he gets like shot at by snipers.
well, by the freaking local police, because they're like,
yeah, it's him, kill
they're
him.
completely disregarding the orders from the marshals.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're going to kill him.
We should say Tommy Lee, of course, figured it out
Yeah.
and like locks the whole hotel
Dude, what
down.
I thought was, okay. So there's this epic fight scene and all this shit's going on. They're trying to get their guy.
They're whooping each other's asses too, we should say.
Yeah, these guys are like, all of a sudden this other doctor's a bad mother trucker too. Like,
Yeah. They're throwing hands.
oh yeah, they are.
And like there's really no weapons involved. It's purely like fist fighting for like 15 minutes of this movie.
It's a fun scene to watch.
And it
though.
is fun. And anyways, they end up taking this elevator down all the way to like the laundry room or something.
Yeah.
And of course, Tommy Lee's like, cut it off. Don't let anyone in or out.
Yeah.
And they know he's in the laundry room, and they're kind of like can't find each other, and they're all kind of like looking for each other. And dude, this guy takes like, for whatever reason, just a steel I-beam right to the face. And so the doctor gets his hands on a gun, and Richard had picked up like a metal pipe.
Yeah.
And the doctor's about to shoot Tommy Lee.
Well, before he does that though, like Tommy Lee Jones is like, Richard, enough is enough. Like, stop. I know I'm on your side.
He's like, I know you're innocent.
Yeah, like stop. But again, where the intelligence comes out in Kimball is, I think he's got eyes on the bad guy, the doctor, and he knows what's about to happen. So he doesn't say a word. Of course, do you trust the cop? Do you not?
It's
he's
kind of
been
hard
hunting.
to tell.
But then he waits for the moment when, because this guy knows he's screwed.
Yeah,
The bad
he's
guy,
royally
like-
screwed.
So he's about to shoot Tommy Lee Jones in the back, and that's when he pops up.
Beats the crap out of him with a metal pipe and doesn't kill him though.
No, because he needs, he's got to be punished. But that's when I started to think, like, because there's some other lines that are said and stuff. Because by Tommy Lee Jones, he's like, I know everything. I know this. Like, I don't think Kimball was ever the target to kill.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was supposed to be a frame job because the bad guy, the best friend, everything borrowed his car, made a call from his car.
He definitely was trying to frame him.
He's trying to frame him. So it was
he's
never
just
like
out
an
of the picture
accidental.
forever.
Exactly. And also, let's just destroy his complete reputation in case this shit ever does come up that he's like, hey, this medicine's bad. Well, it's like, well, you trust this guy? He's murdered his wife and he did all this, you know?
So, Richard, the movie doesn't tell you that he gets off free, but he's off free.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like I said, I had the best part of the ending, though,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I knew you'd love that.
is they get, Tommy Lee Jones gets him in the car and he takes his handcuffs off and he gets him an ice pack. And Harrison looks at him and he goes, I thought you didn't care. And Tommy Lee Jones goes, don't tell anybody.
He's like, I don't, but don't tell anybody.
And then the credits start rolling and I was like, damn, I would have liked to seen
Him get justice.
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah, a little bit. But I understand why they didn't do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, that would have been kind of a nice treat.
Dude, so overall, though, this movie just takes you on a total ride.
Oh, sure. And you know what I did love about it? I loved the duration.
Yeah.
It was just shy of 2 hours.
I think it's a little over, but like the way it's done,
It seemed like a quick watch.
it's you can tell the script was smartly written, where it's nothing. There's no like extra fat really.
Yeah.
It's just all of it to set up to the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is how you should do it.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good. I'd never heard of that director before, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but
I'm sure I can tell you.
I'll tell you what, out of a 6-pack, I'd probably give it maybe like I'd give it like a 4.5.
That's where I was going to go.
Just because there were a couple things that I was like,
Yeah.
And also, I've been listening to some of our episodes back since we started doing the 6-pack rating.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be a little tougher.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with a 4.5 though. I think it's a great movie.
It was great. It was really good. And like I said, watching it for the first time, a lot of these movies that we've been doing, we've both seen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice, like for me to, watch it for the first time and be like, oh, okay. And then, yeah, like I said, I was just really pleasantly, I don't want to say surprised. I guess I was just really pleased with actually getting to see these two dudes that are in a lot of movies that I love for separate reasons, but actually get to see them act, like really act,
Oh yeah, man. They flex their muscles on this one.
I think so. Because listen, I like the Men in Black movies as much as the next guy.
Yeah, but there's not like, there's not real depth behind it.
So, yeah, I liked it. So you're a 4.5 too?
Yeah, that's where I was going to land.
Yeah, man, it was a good pick. I liked it.
When you texted me that you had never seen this movie, I was like, oh, hell yeah.
I couldn't believe I had. I was like, it was just weird seeing it because everything I've seen Harrison in lately has just been so old, know? Like he's in this show Shrinking that I love. And he's funny, but he's also serious. He steals the show, really. But God, he's just so old,
Dude, he's one of my, I can't even describe to you how much I love that dude.
Because of Star Wars and Indiana Jones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of my acting heroes. Like, I love him so much. And it kind of...
He's got a weird earring, though.
Yeah, and, well, he's kind of a dick in real life.
Hey, you know what? He was good in 1923, too.
Yeah, he is. He is.
They were supposed to make a second season of that?
Yeah, I don't think it's happening.
Well, it is going to happen.
Oh, well, good.
It got pushed back because as soon as they were preparing to start filming, the strike happened.
Gotcha.
So the guy that plays Spencer Dutton in that show, I guess he tweeted out the other day, like...
Filming starting?
I don't know if filming started, but he had got a copy of the script.
Oh,
and he
okay,
was
so it's
like,
starting soon.
Yeah, so probably
fall,
maybe.
Dude, Harrison Ford almost died, like, he wrecked a plane or something.
Yeah, he's a wild guy.
And, he, one of my favorite stories I've ever heard of Harrison Ford that makes me laugh so hard is Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, he's famous for one role.
And there's a famous scene in Star Wars where they're in a trash compactor, but his hair isn't wet because they fall into water or whatever. And I guess he asked Harrison Ford, he's like, hey, isn't the audience going to think it's weird that my hair isn't wet in this scene. And Harrison Ford looked at him and goes, kid, if the audience is noticing your hair isn't wet, we got a whole lot more problems.
Hey, speaking of Mark Hamill, though, you want to talk about a guy who's really only had one freaking character.
Yeah, it's such a big character, though.
I get it.
It's hard to...
I get it, but we act like, he has cameos in movies, and it's like, oh my God, Mark Hamill, he's one of the best actors. He's like, no, he was in a big franchise. And I hate to say this.
He's one of the most iconic
All right,
actors.
I get it. I hate to say this, too. I feel very similarly about Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. And what sucks about Michael J. Fox, though, is like it's health reasons.
I understand, but I'm just saying, take that out of it. He's in a massive franchise that's so iconic that he's still so freaking famous because of it.
How can you not be?
I understand. I'm just saying it's like, come on.
Dude, they're some of the most iconic movies ever.
We watched Mark Hamill in that Machine movie, and I thought he sucked.
He's not... I didn't say he was a good actor. I'm just saying
He got the role of a lifetime,
yeah.
and he has been riding that for 40 years.
He does a lot of voice acting.
Yeah, he's in that Batman, the Joker, the Killing Joke.
He's been
right?
the Joker forever.
Yeah, but I mean...
But still, whatever. But,
All right, well, I got some other side topics if you want to cover them.
Let's rip it, dude.
Well, I was going to say this for next week, but then like we were talking earlier, I kind of put the math together. So... we will record an episode before the Super Bowl again, but it won't come out until after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, Super Bowl's coming up. Obviously, your team is in it. Fantastic. It's in Vegas. It's great. I did see today that Christian McCaffrey, his wife or somebody came out and said they're not getting a box for the Super Bowl. Do you know why?
I assume to sit with the fans. I don't know.
No. Because at the Las Vegas Stadium, a suite is $2.7 million. And
holy shit.
They said no.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That is a ridiculous amount of money. Now, granted, you get 20 people in there, but $2.7 million.
It's not worth that,
Come on.
Dude, I looked up Super Bowl tickets one time. I think it's when the Chiefs made the first Super Bowl with Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
And like, even the nosebleeds are like 30 grand.
Well, we saw in that Jason Kelsey documentary when they went last year, his wife was like, we're really spending $50,000 on tickets. And that wasn't a suite. That was just to get his family in the game.
Yeah, just to get him in the stands.
Yeah. Now, like Taylor Swift and them will be in a suite.
What's $2 million to her?
Yeah. But anyway, that was a side note.
They'll probably give her a suite, to be honest.
I can't believe, you know what? I bet the only reason they didn't even probably approach her to like do some sort of performance is because like I've been like on the McAfee show and all these other shows. She's got like a show in Japan like the day before. And then if there's no delays, obviously she's flying private.
Yeah.
She's able to get there like an hour before the Super Bowl, and then she's got to turn around and go fly to another country because she's got a show the next day.
God, dude, the life of a superstar.
Right. But anyway, I was going to ask you, because I think it's fun, Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, Do you remember maybe one or a couple of your favorite commercials you've seen, like, of all time leading up? I can personally think of two.
Dude, I'm drawing a blank.
I know, and I wish, I need to start texting you these questions beforehand so you can kind of, because I always put you on the spot, and I'm prepared, and that's kind of horse shit.
I already seen a leaked one, though, for this year's, and it made me laugh so
Which
hard.
one?
It's Paramount.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one. Yeah. With Creed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Patrick Stewart, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
who's Patrick Stewart's in that? I think
Tua, Master Chief.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ones that and these are from, because I think as an adult I probably don't pay attention to them as much, because usually when we're at a Super Bowl party we're boozing, we're high fiving, we're.
To be honest, like when the commercials hit in a Super Bowl now, like my brain just turns off.
So one of the ones, it's probably my favorite commercial of all time. But I don't even remember how old I was. This might have been when Janet Jackson showed her titty. I don't remember, but
She didn't show it. Justin Timberlake ripped it open.
Okay, all right. Well, there was some Velcro there, but anyway, it was a Bud Light commercial.
Uh-huh.
And you might remember this, but it was a couple, and they were just driving down the road, and it was nighttime.
Yeah.
And you see in the distance on the side of the road, there's a guy hitchhiking, and he had what do you have? He had an axe and a 12-pack of Bud Light. And the guy goes, I'm gonna pull over, see if he needs a ride. And she goes, but he has an axe. And the guy driving's like, yeah, but he's got Bud Light. And he pulls over. So then next scene is all three of them in the car, right? And it's the axe guy. And the next guy's got like a chainsaw or whatever. And they go, and the guy's like, I'm gonna pull over, see if he needs a ride or whatever. And the guy in the back with the axe and like the Jason mask on or whatever is like, dude, he's got a chainsaw. And he goes, yeah, but he's got Bud Light. And they pick him up. That's one of my favorite commercials of all time. And I know it's older. And then my second one that I remember, and I just saw it on TikTok the other day, which is funny because I was thinking about it. And then I pulled it up like yesterday. I was on TikTok and it resurfaced, and I was like, oh God, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It was a Doritos commercial from probably back when we were in middle school.
Dude, Doritos always make great ones.
And it was like they were in an office and they have like this snow globe.
I think I remember this.
And these two morons are talking, and he's like, what's the deal with it? And he's like, oh, it's a crystal ball. And he's like, if you throw it at what you desire most, you'll get it. And he's like, really? And the guy's like, yeah, watch. And there's a vending machine right there, glass front vending machine. And he goes, Doritos. And he throws the ball and it shatters the vending machine. And he reaches in there and he grabs Doritos. And then it goes like, Doritos, blah, 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 blah. And then the second guy has it, cuts to him, and he's like shaking it. He goes, new promotion, new promotion, new promotion. And his boss walks out of the bathroom and he nails him in the nuts with it. And he goes, promotion. And he hits the guy in the nuts. I was like, God, that's so good, man.
Dude, when it came out, like how expensive those commercials are.
Oh my gosh.
For like a 30-second ad is like, what, $5 million?
It's a lot. Dude, remember the old GoDaddy commercials?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they'd have all these hot chicks, and it was like, for more, go to GoDaddy.com. Dude, I remember being like...
Brilliant marketing.
I remember being like the 7th grade, going to the desktop computer, GoDaddy.com.
GoDaddy.com.
Yeah. Because it was like they were going to take their clothes off, and then it gets there, and it's like, here, we'll help you build a website.
You know
and I'm
what
like,
they say,
no!
Man? Sex sells, man.
But it was a whole site like on how you build a website.
Like Denny's did that, remember? Or... what was that? Carl's Jr. did that forever.
Oh, yeah, with a hot chick eating cheeseburgers on the hood of a car.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
But I just remember going to GoDaddy, and I was like, well, this is not what they said was going to happen.
Where's the chick?
Yeah, where's the chick? She was about to take her top off. I remember just being so disappointed. Danica Patrick.
Yeah. Forever, dude.
Yeah, man. You can't do that now, though. Well, you might be able to.
You can still do it. It's just not, well, maybe not that false advertising like that, but
I just don't know. Maybe.
Dude, when I was a kid, I swear to God, I thought GoDaddy.com was a porn site.
I did too. Because nowhere in the ad does it say, we are a website that helps you build websites. It never said that. It was always like, remember it was like the little guy on the trike, and then it was like hot chicks. Like it was just crazy.
Yeah.
People were partying, and I was like,
now that you say it, like looking back, I'm like, I really thought it was a porn site.
I did too. And yeah, man, it was very disappointed. And you know what's funny is I didn't learn my lesson like the first year. Next year comes out, GoDaddy, the same thing. And I was like, all right, let me try again.
Maybe they updated
it. Yeah, man, but that was some bullshit. But
these blue balling motherfuckers.
I know. But yeah, dude, that was man, commercials used to be so good. And listen, there's still some good ones that probably come out.
Dude, I swear to God, though, I couldn't remember a commercial from last year. I don't think I paid attention. Well,
we were pretty drunk.
Well,
Yeah. I got to work on the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's not going to kill my vibe.
Work night shift, too. So.
It's not going to kill my vibe, bud. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. And I hope you guys do well. Oh, yeah. And then here's another thing. A little update on the life of Pi.
Mm-hmm.
By Pi, I mean me.
I got that.
Yeah, that was a bad joke. Do you ever watch that movie?
No.
Me neither.
I don't
looked so dumb.
I don't need to see a kid and a tiger on a boat for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's something great, but I
think it did get pretty good reviews.
It got I'm pretty sure Oscar nominations, but
Yeah.
never seen it.
Well, anyway, I've been looking into going back to college.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
good for you.
Thank you. The reason,
Like any degree in particular?
well, I
or-
mean, obviously, associates to, because, well, here's the deal. Like, I went to college for a little bit, dropped out.
Partied what?
Yeah, I did. But, I've got some credits, like, classes that I passed and stuff. So, work sent this email out the other day about like tuition assistance
They
and all
do a
this stuff.
program like that?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And so I was like, well, maybe, why wouldn't I take advantage of that? So, but here's the deal. Like, the reason that I want to do it, or I think I want to do it, is not because I think having this degree is going to help me in my career, like my personal career, because I've pretty much done it the hard way, worked my way up.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I've gotten this far without it. I really don't think that it's going to benefit. But, when I was a kid, my mom was always like, finish what you start, finish what you start, finish what you start. And then I started thinking about that and like, listen, I'm married now. Like, we're not actively trying to have kids.
Well, it's just an accomplishment that you can say that you did the work.
I agree. And
did
so, like, we're not like trying to have kids, but then again, like, okay, when we do one day, like, how do I tell my kid, finish what you start if I leave something unfinished? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, and nothing wrong with it. Plenty of people do it. But
yeah, I'm not saying that, but it's just me personally. Like, I always try to finish
it's
things.
a goal.
And then also, so I was looking at that and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Well, then I was at home and an ESPN 60 popped up and it was Jerome Bettis. Well, I'm a big Steelers fan. I love the bus, right? Well, he was going back to college.
Like after
30
his
years
professional
after,
career?
30 years after he'd been in college.
That's awesome.
And he went back to Notre Dame. He had 1 year left. Well, the thing with Notre Dame is they require you to be on campus. So here's this man, 50 years old, living on campus, going
so
to
sick.
classes.
That's so
And I was like,
badass.
and his whole thing was like, I made a promise to my mom that if I, left school early, I would eventually finish the degree. And I was like, man, that's such a sign from God. Like, I was just thinking, you got to finish what you start. And it took him 30 years to do it, but he did it. And I was like, wow, that's really like a really cool thing. And like now, like I applied at 2 or 3 online institutions.
Yeah.
So far, I've been accepted to one of them,
Hell yeah, man.
and it was the one that I kind of wanted to go to. So,
Right on.
Colorado Christian University.
Well, you know me, I'm a Butler alum.
Yeah,
so-
you are. So, but and like I don't know. I have to do a little bit more research into this work program about like, because I think they do have in the subtext there like it needs to be a degree that could
It
potentially
applies
benefit
to the
yeah.
field usually.
Which I don't know that I really care necessarily what it's in. I just want to have it.
Like when I worked at Spirit, they did
Mm-hmm.
the same thing, but usually it applied to like people trying to go for engineering.
Yeah.
Or
construction management.
something like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I understand that. But what's great is there's so many electives that like if you're interested in, you can take. Like I really want to take a course on psychology.
Oh, I love mine, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, because like when I was in college the first time, I tried to go into like religious studies, and I had to take a sociology class, which is not quite psychology, but it's the study
It's-
it's the study of people is what it is.
It's human behavior.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
why-
enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And then, like now that I'm getting older and more self-aware and trying to do better about like mental health stuff, I was like, man, I think if I could take a psychology course, even if it's like an intro or whatever, and I could understand the brain a little bit, maybe I personally could handle my own psychology a little bit better.
I'll tell you what, I took it in college and I found it fascinating. So I imagine you will probably feel the same.
Here's the biggest problem is, and this is completely on me, is time management. My work schedule is already pretty chaotic,
Yeah.
but then I also, outside of work, I overbook myself like crazy. I get cabin fever.
You're just gonna have to.
I gotta
sit
buckle
down,
down,
and
yeah.
just say
Do
like,
the work.
Yeah, do the work.
Just do the freaking work.
Like you're used to it already. So
I'm capable of it. I know I'm capable of it.
Dude,
and I
I've-
know my intelligence level's there. It's just finding the self-discipline
that's all it is.
to do it. And then, like I said, so like, let's say I do it this year and I finish my 10 credits or whatever, I'm shy, get my associates. There's a couple things that happen. Either it's like, hell yeah, I got it, I'm done, right? Or it's like, all right, I enjoyed that. Maybe I go even further.
Are you just in general, or like, what are you?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, it's going to probably depend mainly on what work is willing to pay for. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, more than likely, yeah, probably just like a general gen ed's associate's degree or whatever. Now, I think if you go to get a master's or a bachelor, then you probably need to pick.
I can't really give you much advice on that because my associate's is in fucking welding. So I mean,
Yeah, but you did it. You finished it.
yeah, I did it, but I also Van Wilder Community College.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, like when I referred to earlier, like, you know, say we have kids in the next couple years, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not gonna care. They're not gonna know. But when they get older, and
There
I
might be
also
something
want to
taught.
say too, like I'm really a big proponent of the fact that you don't have to go to college.
I agree.
But if you go, I believe you should finish, is what I'm saying. Like, I think that, so when we were in high school, it seemed like it was like, hey, if you don't go to college, you know, you're nothing. You're nothing.
Well,
you're nothing.
that's what they preach.
Right. And I think that's so backwards. Like, go to college for sure. I definitely encourage it. But
I think if that is the path you choose,
Yeah.
higher learning, there is nothing wrong with
absolutely not.
the more education, the more things you know,
Yeah.
it's why not? Like,
I just wish they would.
expand your mind as far as possible
I
as
agree.
you possibly can.
I just wish they would probably push, like, maybe in high schools, like push more trade options and like trade schools and stuff like
for
that.
sure. Have some outlets or
well,
something.
there's just certain jobs that are never going to go away, and like an electrician, like you're always going to need one. A plumber, like it may not be the most glamorous job, but it could be a very
Society needs it. So
well, yeah, and it could be you can make a lot of money doing it.
You can.
That's why I always hated that phrase, like, oh, you don't want to be the garbage man or you don't want to be the ditch digger. We need those people. And you know what the garbage man has? Probably a decent salary, good benefits, 401k plan, like,
yeah.
and he's not $120,000
You know,
in debt. Like, I don't know. I just hate that.
As a kid, I think I was judgmental about those kind of jobs. But
Yeah.
now, as an adult, it's people trying to make a living for themselves.
Well, and they're a
families,
necessity too. Like,
And they are a necessity.
what are you going to do
upon this
without your
world.
garbage man?
Nothing.
Yeah, you're
Your
screwed.
garbage is just going to pile
So
up.
then I don't understand. Like, why talk shit on that guy?
Yeah.
Right? Because like,
It's like frowned upon, but it shouldn't be.
yeah, and maybe it's getting better. I don't know.
I think
dude,
it
but,
is,
But
but-
like, and I'll never, or at least I don't know. I can't say what I'll do with my children because I don't have any. But I would like to believe that I'll never say like you have to go to college, right? Because listen, I think like out of my graduating class for sure, and this is not like a braggadocious thing. It's just saying like I probably make a higher wage and have a better retirement plan and all this like than a lot of these people that did go to college and then come home from college and also probably don't get
debt.
And not only that, yes, they have debt, but they also probably have jobs that are just regular people jobs that the college degree didn't even help, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's a necessity. And the only reason I probably even really went to college in the first place was because everybody was telling me that I couldn't do it. And so my attitude was like, I'll just give you the middle fingers and I'll at least go try it. And honestly, I didn't try.
Okay, well, I can speak as a father. I will definitely encourage it,
Yeah, for sure.
and I hope my kids want to go to college. But if they don't, I'm not going to be an asshole about it and be like, oh, well, you're fucking up your whole life.
No, but that's what it was like preached to
Yeah.
to us, and that's just not true, and it sucks because, like, yes, like to get where we're at job wise now, did we have to work a little bit harder? Did we have to struggle for a little bit longer? Yeah, absolutely. Like we paid dues and we did this and we did it the hard way is how I like to describe it. But the outcome's the same.
Yeah, it all ends
You
up-
know what I mean? So I just think it's a travesty that it's like,
It's the same thing with a doctor or anyone else. They grind. They go through,
yeah, absolutely.
Residencies and do all that crap. It's the same thing.
But anyway, yeah, I'm like, I think I'm gonna do it.
Oh, good for you, man.
Thank you. I just, I've got to find, I just need to do a little bit more because I don't want to go into it just like half-assed. Like I got to do some more.
Well, the beauty of online schooling is it gives you the flexibility to do that.
Sure.
Like you basically can make your own time, except for maybe like
There's probably still
tests.
deadlines and shit. Yeah,
Test
yeah, yeah.
and whatever.
Yeah. Well, I really think at this point, that's the only way I could do it would be online.
Yeah,
I mean,
you couldn't go to like an actual university.
I think
or
I would
something.
benefit more. I really wish that when I was there the first time, I would have taken it a little bit more seriously. But I've also noticed too, dude, when I was 18, I had no interest in learning.
Oh, me neither.
You know,
I
like now that I'm later in life, I'm finding myself reading more like I've always read books, but like I'm reading more books that are like nonfiction books. Like you're actually learning something, or like watching documentaries. Like I'm now, you know, maybe I'm behind the curve a little bit, but now I'm like truly hungry to learn.
Yeah, I
things,
think
you know
about
what I
that
mean?
a lot sometimes. I'm like, damn, I wish I could have had my mindset now.
Yeah.
And like travel back and put my mindset into
Sure.
my like 18-year-old self.
Me too. Dude, I was 18, man. It's the first time away from home, really.
Yeah. Dude,
Shit,
and
man.
to be honest with you, I had no idea what I was going to do after high school. I literally just floated around forever
Yeah.
and was, you know, I had some issues going on and I
Mm-hmm.
just partied too much and just didn't give a shit. And basically got an ultimatum. That's why I chose welding, but had it, you know, because I was like, well, it's not ideally what I wanted to do, but it is a trade. It
Yeah.
is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, I guess, you know, and I know you can make money doing it. So I was like, well, I'll just do that then.
But that's what I think is tragic, because like in school, you're not like given that option to be like, hey, you could be a pipeline welder and make, you know, $200,000 a year, or you can be like a really good carpenter and make all this money. Like that's never just like they need, and maybe some schools do, but we need more trades programs in schools, I think, like to at least let people know that that's an option. Like you don't have to go to college and be a finance person or a doctor or a lawyer. Like those are great and those are admirable traits. Don't get me wrong. And we you know, listen, I'll probably need another lawyer at some point in my life.
Hey.
But I'm just saying, like, it's just kind of, and I don't know how it is in schools anymore. I don't know. We've been out of them for so long. I'm not sure.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, there's no way I could go back to high school and do that shit again. I
No.
guarantee there's no way.
But see, and even in high school, I didn't apply myself. I did just enough to stay eligible to play baseball.
You know, I was just talking to Kelsey about this. And I go, you know, in high school, my thing was I picked up information easily.
Mm-hmm.
So I never like applied myself,
Yeah.
but I just passed tests and got by.
Yeah, just got by. And I think, well, and there's a mindset there too. And what I think what I'm experiencing now is nobody's making me learn, right? Nobody's telling me I have to read this or I got to do this. So now it's my choice, and it's like, oh, I want to, you know, like when you're 16, 17 years old and they said, no, from 7 to 3:30 every day, this is what you do, and you got to be here and you got to do this. Like naturally, especially as a
You get a
teenager,
little
you're gonna want to
rebellious.
rebel. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. You're gonna be like, nah, I don't want to read that. I'll read the Spark Notes, screw that, you
Yeah.
know, or like whatever.
Yeah.
Or I'll do just enough because I want to play football, or because I want to wrestle,
Yeah.
or because I'll do just enough. And that's what that was certainly my mindset
Oh, that was mine for sure.
until, you know, well, her son-in-law listens to this. He comments quite a bit, but for me, the reason that I went to college, really the game changer, outside of just like trying to prove people wrong, was, and it took 12 years. My senior year, I finally had a teacher that saw through all my bullshit, Mrs. Cow,
Oh, she was awesome, dude.
that was like, hey, you are capable
She
of
was.
so much more.
There's a lot of teachers that obviously we went through. She's the one in my head that always sticks out. The one that you can tell, you know, there's a difference because for teachers, it's a job.
Sure.
But like, she is the one teacher in my mind that I can tell, like, genuinely cares.
She cared. And what's even
And
more
would put
admirable
the
about
extra
it,
effort in.
by the time that we got to her, she had already had so much time. I mean, she'd been teaching for decades at this point.
Yeah.
And it's easy because it's an admirable profession. We need them. But
Yeah,
it's
and-
easy to get very cynical about it. You get a couple classes in there. Everybody's
And
knotheads.
To be honest, I think they're one of the most underrated professions you can go in because
Yeah.
they're not well paid.
No, they're not.
And I think that's bullshit. I think they need to be paid
I
more.
agree. No, I 100% agree.
And because, you know, they're forming young minds.
Yeah. And I
And-
wonder sometimes.
And I've always thought this too. A good teacher can change a kid's life.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I wonder if like, well, and that's probably why you get into it, right?
Yeah.
And but I wonder if, you know, and I haven't talked to her. I've talked to her a few times since
Yeah.
high school, but sometimes I do wonder, like, if she, like, because I don't know, and not just her, but like for us, that's her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if she even knows, like, hey, you the reason that I am where I'm at is because of you. Because you have a lot of teachers throughout the year, and listen, you're not always going to get a good one.
No, that's just the sad truth.
Dude, I remember my senior year, I was unsure what I was going to do. 99% of kids are,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, it is crazy to think at 18 you're asked to basically
decide
pick a
what you want to
career
do. Yeah.
for the rest of your remaining life.
Yeah, and if you go to college, pick a specific realm of college. Like, do you want to go to
A very specific profession that you want to go into for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's a huge decision.
Yeah, dude, did I ever think I was going to be in the pipeline industry? No, they were hiring. you know?
Yeah.
But I remember one time, and I only had her for 1 year. Like, and I didn't even know, I didn't even know her because I was a new school for me and everything.
Well, for me, I just, I'm so lazy that they put me in some not bad class. I just wasn't, they didn't think I was advanced enough for her class.
For sure.
But I was just so lazy that I just didn't turn homework in and shit.
Well, so, class clown, that was kind of my thing. And she, and I had heard kind of some horror stories too. Like, oh, Mrs. Calp's comp English class. She's no bullshit. She is, kind of mean. She's hard on kids or whatever. That's what I had heard from other seniors, going into that class or whatever. And I don't know. She just couldn't be mad at me. I just made her laugh,
Oh, dude.
But initially, the first couple weeks, I was trying to act a fool or whatever. She saw right through my bullshit, pulled me outside of class, and was like, "This is not how we, And I think it was the first time that I had a teacher not yell at me, not punish me, not
just tell you straight up,
just hey, if you're willing to do
a human being,
if you're willing to do the work, here's how we get here, and here's how we do it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we kept going, right? And my big thing was baseball in high school or whatever. And I was lazy. I really was. I could write because mainly that class was writing papers, reading books, and writing papers. And I wouldn't write my paper till the day before.
I'll tell you right now, she set me up beautifully for college.
Yeah, and she took it seriously.
All my essays I wrote in college were based off of what she taught me.
Me too.
And I never had a problem.
Me too. And
I mean, she had us writing 20-page papers, dude.
Man. Yeah, and I would bullshit my way through them completely, and she knew obviously, but she would pull me after class. She's like, I can clearly see you didn't do the assignment the way I told you. But she goes, if you can write like this just on sheer instinct and talent, she goes, you need to take this seriously because you could be really freaking good at this. And then my confidence started to build a little bit because all I had teachers tell me that I wasn't shit.
Yeah.
That I wasn't going to be shit. And so when baseball season would roll around, we'd have a big paper due or essay and everything. And she wouldn't let me go to baseball because at that time too, I was staying on a couch at a buddy's house. I didn't have a house really.
Yeah.
My dad was off coaching basketball. Mom wasn't really in any condition I didn't have a computer. I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
So she would hold me from baseball practice and get with my coaches and be like, he's not going until he sits in this classroom. She would stay after school and he finishes his homework here. And then even further than that, offer up her own personal computer at her house and shit, to help me.
That's what I'm talking about, man. She always went
the extra mile, dude.
Hey, Matt, I know you're going to listen to this. Shout out. Tell Mrs. Cal we love her and shout out to her. She was an amazing teacher.
So lucky because a lot of kids don't have that. A lot of kids will never have that.
Yeah.
I assume that when teachers get into it and they're young and they're hungry.
That's what I'm looking back, dude, that, if you get a good teacher like that, it can change your life forever.
It certainly changed mine. I contribute a lot of my success to her, and I had her for 2 semesters.
And maybe if, we have other teachers listening or whatever, who knows who's listening to this.
Strive to be Mrs. Cow.
Just take the time and think about, you can affect someone's life and put the extra effort in. She did, and it completely stuck with me for my entire life.
Me too. And I can't speak for her, but here's what I'll say is for any of the teachers, there are going to be kids in your class that have resources and support and are just naturally gifted at certain subjects and all this.
Well, just
But you're also gonna have kids that don't have any of that. And where I think she was so great is she could recognize that. So because it's not like I walked into school and was like, oh, I don't got a computer. Like my family can't afford shit. Like we didn't do that. But I think she knew, and I don't want to say she favored me or she spent extra time. I mean, obviously she spent extra time on me because I needed it. She would have done it for anybody. It wasn't just because it was me, you know. I mean, it's not like
I'll tell you something off air.
Okay.
But
yeah. And I genuinely loved that. I still do love that woman. But I've told her on a couple of occasions, like although that, and she was an English teacher.
Yeah.
I guess like my job now has nothing to do with composition writing or whatever. But I have absolutely credit her. Like I would not have the career that I'm in and the job that I have without her, because all it takes is one person to believe in you and believe in your work ethic and believe in
it can
everything.
change your entire world.
Absolutely. And I told her one day, I think she was yelling at me for something, probably talking too much, you know. And I was like, hey, one day you're going to hear me in your radio. And she wrote that down and gave it to me as a graduation gift, like that quote. And I don't know, 2-3 years after that, I was on the radio full time and they had posters made of me. And I signed one and I brought it and she hung it in her classroom.
Do you remember the coolest thing she did? So Miss Cal, her class, she would have you write a letter to yourself
and send it to you like
5 years later.
Yeah.
She would hold them for 5 years and send them, figure out where,
oh my God,
where you were living.
I do remember that.
And where your parents lived and would send it to you.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I got mine, and man, I was wrong about my life.
Me, dude, me too. I can't believe I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
But I do remember my letter because there was a girl that I was talking to, or whatever. And I'd known this girl my whole life, and we had kind of gone back and forth like in grade school and everything. And I remember when I got that letter, I read it and it was like, hey, I really hope you're with so and so and like things are going good and all this stuff. And I remember when I got that letter, because it got sent to my dad's house, and I was on a pipeline job somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I remember I was miserable. And I had, went home, got that letter or whatever, and then I went back. I was like living in a camper. I don't know. I just so bad. And I'm reading this and I was like, oh, I had it so wrong. Like, I just thought that, like, I was going to be married to this chick and, like, we were going to live happily ever after and all this stuff.
Mine was, like, a total jabroni. Like, a total idiot writing it. I'm like, what was I thinking? Because, like, obviously it's 5 years after the fact. I'm like, what the hell was I writing?
Well, because I think, like, 5 years you're supposed to be out of college, probably got it figured out. And I did 5 years after high school, I did not have it figured out at all.
I remember, oh man, mine was so bad that okay, I'm sorry to say this. I literally was so upset with what I wrote down. I crumbled the letter up and I go, Jesus Christ, I will never be that guy ever again.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Dude, mine was stupid.
I know I still have because at the end of the year, she would give you kind of an essay that she wrote about what the year meant to her, and then she would highlight certain stories from every student. I do still have that. I don't know where my letter is. Mine, I probably had a very similar reaction to you. Like, what the hell was I
so
thinking?
disappointed in myself.
I'm so naive,
No,
like,
I wasn't naive. I could tell, like, I was just such a jackass.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Mine was.
I literally crumbled mine up and I go, I will never be that person again.
Mine was probably like, well, that could have helped you then, too.
Oh, it was growth.
Yeah, and mine was probably like, hey, you're probably playing for, like, the Red Sox or the Cubs. And,
Wow, way out there.
Oh, but anyway, hey, Matt, man, if she wants to listen, show her that segment, man. Let her know that we love her and she means a lot to us.
Big shout out.
Okay, and then a couple more things. The Grammys are this weekend.
I'm not watching.
I'm probably not going to either. They're tomorrow.
But I am.
There's a couple people I'm excited about.
This weekend, I'm definitely going to watch the Best Picture nominees to get a grasp on what we're dealing with.
Yeah, what he means by that is the movies that have been nominated for Best Picture and Oscar, he's going to watch them. And I'm probably going to watch them with you, too, on Sunday.
Yeah.
But the Grammys, there are a couple people I'm excited about.
Okay.
Jelly Roll. I just like that guy's vibe.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Noah Kahan. Excited he got nominated. The only I watched the Grammys last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. They're getting way obscure.
With like the artists,
The performances.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Like, I get it. I know it's a whole new world, and I don't want to sound sexist or whatever. I'm just trying to be somewhat of a traditionalist. Like, when did it become totally acceptable for a girl to be damn near completely naked on stage, singing a song about getting bent over by a guy, and that song gets nominated for a Grammy? The Grammy is the Oscars of music. It should be nominated to music that emotionally affects people and talks to people. And a song like talking about your genitals and this, in my personal opinion, shouldn't be nominated for Grammys.
I agree.
So, I mean, what are we nominating them for? Because of how much streams they got?
Probably record sales. I mean,
Okay, I mean, yeah, you can't argue with records. I don't know. I just think it's a really poor message, and I'm just not in love with it. So I probably won't watch, but there are a certain couple people that I'm rooting for, mainly songwriters, really.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, which we kind of touched up on it, but like, I mean, what do you got going on this weekend? I guess
I'm gonna meet up with one of the father-in-laws and go play some top golf.
One of the father-in-laws.
I mean, there's a couple, man.
Yeah, you got a few. Actually,
I got 3, so
I think that's classified as a few.
that's a few.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go and meet up with him. I'm probably gonna hang shit on him because he's a Denver Broncos fan. So it's been a golden era for me.
You gonna watch the Pro Bowl?
Probably not.
Me neither. No.
I
Why
don't-
would you?
I don't need to see flag football.
No.
I remember when, you know what? I'm gonna have a gripe about
All
the
right,
Pro
go
Bowl.
ahead, bud. Go ahead.
So they got it going on this week or whatever. They got events, and you know, the skills challenges are cool. But I remember when it used to be like, you know, actual competitiveness.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when I was a kid, the Pro Bowl used to be tackle football still.
Yeah.
And it was until like 3 years ago, or maybe 2 or 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
when we were kids, they actually kind of cared a little bit too.
And I'll never forget, I was a kid. Sean Taylor, God rest his soul, came down at the Pro Bowl, and they've always kind of played it a little softer, but Sean Taylor didn't give a fuck. He went down and smashed somebody.
Yeah, he's a hard-hitting guy.
Never happens.
How did he die?
Gunshot wound.
That's right.
Someone robbed his house and
Yep.
shot him in the femoral artery.
Yep, that's right.
But yeah, no, I'm not watching flag football. I don't care.
No.
I get it. There's a lot of money on the line. I get it. And you know, you don't want to get injured. You don't want like all that to happen. I get it. But come on, man. You're a football player.
Well, they talked about completely getting rid of the Pro Bowl.
I gotta pee so bad.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back,
Cap it off.
cap it off.
Remember where we were. Pro Bowl.
Yeah, Pro.
Back.
We are back. Live action.
Thanks for the advertising, guys. Wow. I mean,
Yeah, I can't think of
big supporters. I
yeah.
can't think of shit right now.
one on top of my head.
But-
yeah, no, the Pro Bowl, like, yeah, okay, Sean Taylor did make, like, he was laying massive hits in the Pro Bowl. But, like, they did care a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But they talked about getting rid of it, okay?
Yeah.
Because of all the shit, like, we don't want people getting hurt and all this stuff.
Well, and if you watched it for the last couple of years, like literally people would just like, I don't even know how to describe it. Would like,
Two-hand touch is what it basically
yeah.
was.
And it's like, well, obviously no one wants to see that. Like,
no, and listen, I understand, like you said, but I think it was Peyton Manning that saved it, and it was like, players still need this recognition.
oh yeah, it's a huge honor. Huge honor.
Well, and it goes to your Hall of Fame vote. It goes to all this stuff. So they found a way to do it.
Incentives too. Yeah.
Flag football, gay. It's just lame, dude. And,
It is.
And now they're putting it in the Olympics. Well, wonder who's going to win the gold in that. Maybe the one country that actually plays football.
American football.
Yeah, American football. But yeah, well, anyway, so outside of the Pro Bowl. So this weekend, Shaylee's going to she's going back home to Humboldt tonight because her little sister's first ever homecoming dance is tonight.
Oh, big steps.
Yeah, so she's getting her ready for that, and then I don't know. But tomorrow morning, I'm excited. I'm gonna go. So apparently, I didn't know about this, and maybe I'm the only person that doesn't. But I guess at El Dorado Lake, a few times a year they release like a bunch of trout, like on the backside of the dam and
Yep.
the river channel.
Yep.
So my buddy told me about that, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go. So tomorrow morning, we're getting up early, and I'm going to take my fly fishing stuff, and we're going to go fish for trout because they dumped them today.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And another buddy called me, and he's like, I went fishing today, and he goes, I came up short, but people were hammering them.
That's cool.
I was like, damn. So I'm trying to get better at fly fishing. So
It's supposed to rain tomorrow, but
I know. I got a rain jacket.
just be ready.
Yeah, I got a rain jacket. I'm ready. So I'm gonna go fish for trout tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. And then Sunday I'll probably come hang out and watch some movies with you and shit.
So I'm only gonna rent probably 2 of them, and
Which ones?
Past Lives,
Okay.
because it's a romantic drama, but it seems like I don't know. From the trailer, it kind of hooked me. I go, wow, this seems like a very thought out movie, and it seems like could be a very.
I've not seen anything on it. I've not heard anything about it.
It looks cool. So the whole premise of it is like 2 childhood sweethearts. I think you get to see a little bit of their past, and then 20 years later they meet up again. Obviously,
wow, they have never made a movie like
I
that.
know,
before.
I get it, but it seems well done, and I'm gonna watch it.
Okay.
And then
What about the
whole-
holdovers?
Yeah,
you don't have to rent that one.
Oh, where can I get it?
Peacock.
Okay, well, I'm gonna watch that too.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that one too.
because I like
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, I like him, and seems funny, but also maybe like a pretty hard,
Oh well, it has to have some substance to it. And I did see that Margot Robbie came out and said like, "Hey, I'm not upset about not getting nominated." Of course, what else can you say?
I mean, really.
Yeah, but whatever. But yeah, and I was gonna. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up.
Oh, I got a show for you to watch, by the way.
What?
Masters of Air on Apple
Masters of Air. Oh, is that with Austin Butler?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Did you see where he had to hire a dialect coach so he could stop talking like Elvis?
Yeah.
That's a little ridiculous, isn't it?
I mean, I get it, your method, but at a certain point, like,
He's also like
Come
younger
on,
than
man.
us, man.
come on, man, come to reality.
Yeah.
You're not Elvis Presley.
Don't be a one-trick pony.
like you're not Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
You're an Oscar nominated. You're an Oscar winning actor. Like,
Oh, he did win an Oscar.
come on, man. But I will say the 2 episodes I watched, which the new one dropped tonight, which for those of you who don't know, Friday night. But dude, amazing.
Well, the same people that
Not
produced that
amazing,
show
but,
did
like-
Flags of Our Fathers.
Band of Brothers too.
Yeah, and Clint Eastwood directed Flags of Our Fathers.
Sick.
You know how much I love Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know what? I forgot to bring this up last week. JP has a movie recommendation. I don't know if it's a recommendation. He was talking about it on his show.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds of Freedom.
Okay.
I've watched it.
I haven't seen it, but
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So there's this whole weird thing that went on with this movie, conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's about child sex trafficking and all this stuff. But like, you see all these videos of, like people being in the movie theater and they be watching it for a little bit, and then the movie
Film
theater's
cuts
like,
off.
yeah, we can't show it and all this stuff. I watched it. It's a true story.
Yeah.
It's tough to watch.
I imagine so. It's a pretty shitty topic.
And JP had a pretty visceral reaction about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then he cut himself off and he's like, I'm going to leave that to Chase and Dalton to do. So I just don't even know if I want to do it. I think it's important to do, obviously, but
Yeah, it's a hot topic issue, man.
but I don't know if I can watch that movie again.
Oh, it's that bad. Well, not bad, but like
You don't see things you shouldn't see, but
yeah.
just the things that it's like we just turn such a blind eye to that is actually going on. It's like
shit.
pretty
dark.
Yeah, it's tough, but
Dark subject matter.
it really is. But it's a good movie. I mean, and the main character in the actor, he played Jesus in Passion of the Christ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
I know
not
what
like
you're
it's not like a
talking about.
religious movie. Like, I mean, they swear in it. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not. But yeah, he did that. He took that role on, and he's good in it. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a heavy movie, though.
Oh, I mean, the topic's pretty heavy.
It would be for this podcast. It would be hard to transition because we would talk about the movie.
And
It's so heavy, and then we'd be like, all right, now on to the lighter side of things.
yeah.
So, but I don't know. We'll look into it. But anyway, the reason I brought that up is because I was thinking again about like JP like talking about me being angry and how it's funny, and we've talked about this or whatever. So I recently started working out again.
okay.
There's a gym in Howard.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I do, like, and I recognize it. I get irrationally angry to a point where I don't. It's not, I don't know if it's something I could. I go to therapy. I do. I don't know if it's something I can control yet or not. But I don't have an outlet of like something to do. Like when I get just so angry, I can't go. I'm not gonna start punching walls. Like I just don't have anything to do. Right.
Well, they say working out is a beautiful outlet for it because
It's been awesome, and I've gotten in and out of working out like 6 different times. I'm actually a little offended that you haven't even pointed out how buff I am right now, because I've been going for like 3 weeks, but it's fine.
Oh man, you look like you lost weight.
I'm not trying to lose weight, man.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
I'm trying to get fuck you. But anyway, I've been working out with my buddy Ben Houchin from downtown.
Yeah.
A few times a week, 3-4 times a week, whenever the schedule allows it. I forgot how bad it hurts.
Oh, it's painful.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I went there for a solid. I have my home gym, and
Yeah.
I refuse to use it apparently. And I went for a solid like month and a half, and I don't remember what happened. I just gave up.
Well, yeah.
And I felt like such a POS. I'm like, come on.
You know what sucks is like, and I can only speak for people of like our body frame. So like, when I was living in Kansas City, I was working out every single night, like pretty hard, and I started to kind of build some mass.
Yeah, when you see the progress, it's like,
right,
oh,
and it's like, all right, now it's
yeah,
easy,
yeah.
right? But then if you get out of it, it's crazy how quick
yeah.
that shit will deteriorate.
That's another thing. You just got to be super disciplined.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'm doing it. But I'm thinking about buying a heavy bag,
Oh yeah,
put it in my garage.
just start.
That way, like when I'm home, like if I come home from work, just like so pissed off, like I have nothing to, I have no outlet to like get rid of that energy. And so if I just had like a nice, good, heavy bag in my garage, like if I showed home, like, and I'm obviously I don't want to bring that home to my wife. I don't want to bring that into my marriage. Like I'm not pissed at her.
He'll put the gloves on and
Just go, wham, 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 wham. Maybe break a wrist. I don't know. Like just
if
get.
you don't know how to punch properly, you
No,
definitely will.
I didn't take karate, but I've punched some people.
Hey, well, just maybe do a quick Google search on the proper way to punch.
But I've also been punched a lot. So
Well, it doesn't mean it was properly.
no, but it always hurts regardless.
Well, it's an impact. Yeah.
But I'm seriously considering doing that because I just kind of cleaned out my garage the other day and like got it kind of where I want it.
Dude, I've been thinking about getting back into the fitness. But
Well, like I'm not doing it like I'm making jokes like I'm trying to get massive or whatever. Really, realistically, like what it is I'm just trying to maintain a certain level of weight and fitness. Like I don't think I have the body type to ever be the buffest guy in the room,
No.
and I don't want to be.
For me, it would be just to not even lose weight, just get back to where I used
Just be healthy.
healthy.
Yeah.
But my problem is I don't have any like hype men where they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're being so disciplined.
It's definitely a lot easier when you have somebody to go through it with you.
Yeah.
But like, my wife multiple times is like, let's work out together. And I'm like, no, you're not what I need.
I think I just
for
need
this.
I just need to get into the mental aspect
Yeah.
of being like locked in, disciplined, focused.
Yeah, and it's tough and it's easy to get out of. Like it's hard. Like the first couple weeks, I think, like anytime I've ever gotten back into it, first couple weeks are always the hardest. And it's just like,
For sure. You're sore.
get your
you're-
ass up, get back in there. And then you kind of hit a routine where you're like, all right,
I think they even say like the first like month is hell.
yeah.
But once you get yourself into the routine is the big part.
Yeah, for sure. I would absolutely agree with that. Like, but anyway, yeah, I'm trying to make small strides to just make myself better.
Oh, dude, I'm so unhealthy.
I'm the unhealthiest person
Like,
know.
dude,
Like,
even like running around the house, you know, chasing the kid or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to like, because she likes that. She thinks it's
Of course.
funny.
Yeah.
And so I'll do that. And like at times I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. What
Well, and like
happened to
lifting
me?
weights isn't going to do that. Like,
I know. Like, I also like to jog too.
see, I can't. That's the problem. Like, I ride the bike at the gym. By the way, this gym I work out in.
Is it like someone's garage? Or?
No, it's a
Well, you know,
building, but
you're south of 400.
the equipment in there looks like it came out of Jane Fonda's garage for sure from like
It's an old,
1972.
hell yeah.
But it's got everything you need. Like, I'm not going to complain.
Do you got
like,
the old Bowflex in there? You know what I'm talking about?
bro, there's a treadmill in there.
The ones you'd see.
There's a
like,
treadmill in there that I'm not shitting you. I'm pretty sure Marilyn Monroe ran on.
oh, hell yeah.
But I can't run on the treadmill. Like, I can't run on hard surfaces. So, like, in order to get my cardio in, I got to do other things. Like, I ride the bike quite a bit.
Yeah,
but like
that's
my
a good
knees
one.
are so screwed. Like, it's like even my knee doctor's like, "Hey, stop running." Like that pound on the surface is
Constant impact.
yeah. So, but the bike, man, I you know, I can ride, like, I get out of breath, don't get me wrong, but I'm also not like Lance Armstrong trying to freaking like, I'm just kind of doing it at my own pace or whatever, but like I'm burning a lot of calories there, I think. But I'm really hoping that I stick with it. I think I will. But I think I'm going to get a heavy bag. Cause like even today, dude, and then I know we've been saying we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, we
but
gotta wrap up.
I was at work today, and I got to be careful about how I say this. I went into, there's a plant that is not my company that I have to go into occasionally.
Yeah.
Okay, this plant has security offices that, you know, and I have a badge that I scan and they lift the gate up and I drive in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, today I had not too busy of a day, but I just got a little scatterbrain, and I have an ID badge and I have a scan badge. Well, I grabbed the ID badge and I drive over there and I get to the offices and I notice, I have the wrong
badge. Yeah.
So I walk into the security booth and I say, "Hey, you know, I left it at the office. Can I sign?" Because you used to be able to just sign in on papers. I was like, "Can I just sign in?" And she goes, "No, you got to have the badge." Meanwhile, this lady she's got to be at least 100 years old. She's old, and she's a security guard. I'm like, "What are you securing?"
Information, apparently.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. So anyway, she's like, "Nope, got to go get the badge." And I was like, okay. So I, bummed, but I turn around and then she goes, "You need to be more accountable." And I stopped.
I would have been like, okay, bitch.
No, I turned around and I said, "Do you know what accountability means?" She goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, accountability is what I'm doing. I'm holding myself accountable for
my actions,
for getting it. Now I'm
yeah.
going to go rectify it." I said, "I think the word you're looking for is responsible. So what you could have said is you need to be more responsible in which badge you bring over. That's the right terminology." And she goes, "Same thing." And I said, "No, ma'am.
Not really.
Not the same thing." And I work nights too at this place. And I said, accountability would be what you guys are supposed to hold over the people that when I drive in here that are dead asleep on their desk, that I have to honk the horn to wake up for them so they can open the gate. That would be holding them accountable. That's what that means. And she said something else, and we just kind of got into a little bit of an exchange.
I swear to God, I would have lost my
And I said,
shit.
"Hey, when I come in here at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're asleep, what are you securing? Like, what is your job? Like, you think I can't just sneak in there while you're asleep?" I was like, accountability is me not doing that and waking you up and all this stuff. I said, the word you're looking for is responsible, and you're 60 years older than me, and you should know vocabulary. And so then we got into it or whatever. I went and got my badge, scanned it in my truck, scanned it. And she looked at me like we were having a stare down and wouldn't open the gate. And I was like, okay, like, if you think I'm going to look away, you're wrong. Like, you challenged me basically to a staring competition. And like, you could die in 5 minutes. I think I at least have another 10 years in me. I'm staring at her. And finally she just like hits the button all like dramatically, So like open the gate and I was like, all right, thanks, you know? And then I come back in, you got to exit that way too, you know? And she's being a bitch about it again. and at this point, now I'm kind of thinking it's funny. But what I'm saying by all that is I recognize that I shouldn't have gotten upset like that. I should have just...
Oh, no, there's no way. I would have lost my shit.
I know, but I should have let it roll off my back and just been like, whatever, you know? Maybe she's having a bad day. This is also not the first encounter I've had with this particular
individual
person. So, but I was thinking about that today and I was like, I got to do something. I got to be better. Like, I got to have...
At least you noticed it, because I definitely wouldn't have. I would have just been like, okay, this is what it's going to be.
Well, I'll tell you, before I met my wife, I probably wouldn't have noticed it.
I swear to God, I would have brought that same energy every single time.
I also do relish the times where I get to justifiably be an asshole.
Oh, that's the best.
Like, a lot of the times, Shayla will tell me, like, not to her, maybe to her, but maybe not. Like, she's like, hey, you're being kind of an asshole. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, then I'll tone it back. But if it's justifiable, it's fun.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You know
fun.
what I mean?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I need to just like, because what does it really matter? You know?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Like,
but for me,
I know.
I enjoy it.
I do too. It makes me like, it almost makes me feel good. Like, and that's a problem. That's not okay, probably, right? Like that.
No, it's definitely not healthy.
That's why I think if I have that heavy bag, maybe I can take some of that shit that they're piling on me and be like, all right. And then I get home and I just like try to, like, what's that movie where he hits the bag and the chain breaks and all that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's probably a Rocky or something. I don't know.
Probably. I don't know, but maybe I do that. But all right, well. yeah, it's time to go, man. Hey, this has been fun, dude.
Yeah, man.
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it. Hopefully, you like the review and all the other bullshit we talked about. Miss Calp, big time shout out.
Love you.
And JP again because I mentioned him.
Love you too, buddy.
Also, find us on YouTube if you want to watch this. It'll be on YouTube. C&D's Booze Reviews up there. We got a couple videos there.
Like, subscribe the pages.
Show.
Share. Do whatever you guys want to do.
Yep.
We love anyone that listens to us and everybody that could potentially listen to this.
Yep.
So.
And the TikTok page too. C&D's Booze Reviews. We're all over the place. Appreciate the support. This has been awesome. All right. Cheers, dude.
Cheers, buddy.
Love you, dude.
Love you. What?
I think that was a good episode.
What are you talking about? That was a fire episode, dude. I thought so.
Pack and some plastic cups, blue pyramid cans keep stacking up, and the forecast says I can't pass it up, cause it's going down, rain or shine. Start calling all your buddies and tell them about the party we started this morning around 9. We gon' keep it going and cold ones are flowing, yeah, we stay thirsty all the time. It's always beer drinking weather out here, we get it pouring like a storm out here. No, there ain't nothing better whenever we're together. It's beer drinking weather out here. Grab a cold can, a keg, or a long neck bottle, top it on off, drink it down to the bottom. 24/7 every day, all year. It's beer drinking weather out here. Oh yeah. Whether or not the back roads are bogged up, and whether or not we can't get to the bar, we can park this old Chevy on the side of the road, start a party underneath the stars. It's always beer drinking weather out here, we get it pouring like a storm out here. No, there ain't nothing better whenever we're together. It's beer drinking weather out here. Grab a cold can, a keg, or a long neck bottle, top it on off, drink it down to the bottom. 24/7 every day, all year. It's beer drinking weather out here. down to the bottom. Ain't never a bad time to have us a good time. It's beer drinking weather right here. It's always beer.